Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the professional paradigm of project management as we look ahead to 2026. Now, I know exactly what you might be thinking. Project management, doesn't that just mean checking boxes, updating endless spreadsheets, and being a completely dry administrative chore? Well, we are going to completely reframe that today. Because in the wildly complex organizational landscapes of 2026, project management is actually the ultimate strategic discipline. Literally, it's the engine that takes a big, high-level vision and turns it into tangible reality. Okay, let's dive into this. 70%. That is the massive, honestly staggering failure rate we see when projects are left unmanaged or just poorly governed. It's a huge number, right? And it proves absolutely just how costly it is when organizations decide to leave things up to chance.
But the real kicker here is the why behind that 70%. Get this, 70% of project failures are people-related, not technical. We're talking about poor communication, vague responsibilities, and just a total lack of psychological safety on the team. This really proves the severe consequences of what the industry calls accidental project management. It establishes the modern project manager not just as some admin, but as a crucial organizational hero. You know, the person who steps in, pulls a failing initiative back from the brink, brings order to fragmented chaos, and ultimately saves the bottom line.
So, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll cover the antidote to that chaos, the 5 phases of execution, major methodologies, managing risks and resources, modern AI tools, and finally, exactly how to build your PM career. Let's jump right into Section 1, the Project Management Antidote, where we'll lay down exactly what makes a project distinct. So, what is it? Basically, project management is the structured practice of planning, executing, and controlling temporary initiatives to deliver unique value. The absolutely crucial word there is temporary. This is a sharp contrast to repetitive, everyday operational management. Operations just maintain the status quo, but a project, every single project has a definitive beginning and a definitive end, and because it's temporary and unique, it requires a super focused leadership style to stop budgets from bleeding out and timelines from slipping into the abyss. Which brings us nicely to Section 2, the 5 phases of execution. This right here is the blueprint. According to the PMBOK, that's the Project Management Body of Knowledge, this rigorous life cycle is basically a series of mandatory, high-stakes checkpoints. You've got initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, and finally, closure. Think of each step as a built-in safety net that validates the investment before you move forward, ensuring you never pour resources into a sinking ship. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how the initiation phase sets the trajectory for literally everything else. It's human nature to just want to jump right into the work, right? But looking at these early artifacts changes the game. A business case justifies the ROI and prevents bad investments. A project charter actually secures that senior buy-in, and a stakeholder register ensures early engagement. Doing this upfront documentation is a complete lifesaver. Why? Because it prevents the ultimate failure, having poorly defined success metrics. If you don't know exactly what success looks like on day 1, there's no way you're going to achieve it on day 100. Moving right along to Section 3, Agile versus Waterfall methodologies. Choosing your framework completely depends on project complexity and how stable your requirements are. So we've got a bit of a showdown between two main philosophies. On one hand, you have the sequential precision of the traditional waterfall model, and on the other, the iterative, flexible value delivery of Agile. It's a really stark contrast. Waterfall is custom-built for projects with hard physical dependencies. Think building a skyscraper or laying a massive power line. You literally can't put a roof on a building before you frame it. Agile, though, that thrives in super dynamic environments, like software development at companies like Etsy, where customer needs are constantly evolving and you want to deliver value in smaller, frequent bursts.
Breaking down the specific attributes, Waterfall requires a very linear structure and heavy upfront documentation. Agile is the opposite. It's iterative and highly adaptable to late changes. Actually, it's worth noting that now, in 2026, we see a ton of hybrid models too. For massive enterprise resource planning or ERP rollouts, companies love to combine the predictive budgeting of Waterfall with the flexible, module-based execution sprints of Agile. It's kind of like getting the best of both worlds.
Inside that Agile ecosystem, there are 2 huge frameworks you absolutely need to know. First is Scrum. It's highly structured, using rigid, fixed-length iterations, usually 2 to 4 weeks, with specific roles like the Scrum Master and Product Owner. Plus, it relies heavily on daily stand-ups to clear roadblocks. Then you've got Kanban. Kanban is a highly visual method focused on continuous flow instead of strict time boxes. You use a board to track tasks and, this is key, strictly limit your work in progress to stop bottlenecks before they start. Both of these are fantastic for helping cross-functional teams coordinate.
All right, into Section 4, Managing Risks and Resources. A massive part of resource management comes down to this specific metric, 70 to 90%. That is the target billable utilization rate for production staff in agency or enterprise environments. Essentially, it's the ratio of billable hours worked versus total hours worked. You have to balance resource capabilities without burning your team out, which is a really tricky tightrope walk, let me tell you, all while making sure you hit this 70 to 90% range to protect the organization's profitability. And this brilliantly illustrates the other side of that coin, risk management. Project managers systematically handle uncertainty using a matrix of 4 risk responses. First, you can avoid the threat entirely by just changing the plan. Second, you can reduce it by adding a contingency budget. Third, you can transfer the risk to a third party, like say buying insurance. Or fourth, if the impact is super low, you just accept it and take no action.
To juggle all of this in 2026, you're going to need a seriously robust technological ecosystem. Let's look at Section 5, AI and modern tools.
The modern toolset has evolved so much. Trello is still a fantastic visual Kanban board with basically a zero learning curve if you're a beginner. Asana is this powerful middle ground, especially now with its AI studio, where teams can literally build no-code agents. Monday.com has really emerged as a highly customizable work OS with incredibly granular admin controls. And Jira? Well, Jira remains the dominant beast for agile software engineering. But what's absolutely crucial here is how deeply AI is embedded across all these platforms to automate tactical work. We're talking AI drafting project briefs, suggesting task owners based on real-time capacity, and instantly extracting action items from your meeting notes. A real game changer.
So, how do you step into this world? Section 6 is all about building your PM career.
Let's move to and see how this builds. If you're a fresher or a career switcher, the Google Project Management Certificate is an amazing, low-friction entry point to learn the tactical how-tos. From there, you'd move to the industry-recognized CAPM. That's the Certified Associate in Project Management by PMI. That certification gives you the baseline language to land entry-level roles starting around $68,000. Finally, the gold standard is the PMP, or Project Management Professional. Now that one requires 36 to 60 months of documented leadership experience, but it catapults salaries to well over $140,000 for senior managers.
Which leaves us with the ultimate strategic career question. Industry experts note a really clear dividing line today. An AI operator just uses tools to land entry-level jobs and do basic tactical tasks. But an AI governor? They oversee these complex systems to ensure deep governance and lasting business value. The technical frameworks are great, but as that 70% failure rate reminded us earlier, the human element is absolutely paramount. So in the automated age of 2026, are you going to settle for being an AI operator, or will you rise up to become an AI governor? Think about it.